Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 8 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. Today I want to talk about the concept of psychological safety. Become kind of a buzzword recently, kind of like emotional intelligence. But just like emotional intelligence, sometimes it's hard to note exactly what it means. And specifically, I want to look at the neuroscience behind psychological safety. Again, for those of you who follow my life from the top of the mind philosophy, you know that I really like to look at how we find ourselves thinking and feeling, how we react to others, how others react to us, how we kind of create our life based on how the brain processes information. So we've got 3 parts of the brain. Lower part of the brain is called the brainstem. It's where our fight or flight responses are located. Middle brain is called the limbic system. That's the part of the brain that gets information first and acts as a scanner, a processor, and a router. So it kind of interprets data and either sends it down to the lower brain or up to what I call the top of the mind, the neocortex, where we have access to our best interpersonal skills, problem-solving skills, clarity, confidence, creativity, compassion, etc. So psychological safety, it's a term that was first coined by Carl Rogers in the 50s in his book, Unconditional Positive Regard, or what that was all about. Since then, it has begun to be used by all kinds of folks in terms of therapists, but also now in organizations. In fact, Google kind of went on a search about what makes an effective team. And they first thought, well, it was about high performers and an effective leader and unconditional resources. But they found out that wasn't really the case. The project was called the Aristotle Project, and they looked at all kinds of factors. And they found that the number one factor that makes an effective team is the concept of psychological safety. So let's kind of dive into it, see what it's all about, especially the neuroscience of psychological safety. So we're not just talking about, don't worry, be happy, or treat people really nice. And no, there's some neuroscience behind it. It basically means that the people within a group, could be a team, could be an organization, could be a family, feel safe with the situation, with the parents, with the leader, with each other. When they feel safe, they can then access their creativity, their ideas. They can bring them forth without fear of kind of being shut down. And it brings out the creativity of everybody around you, everybody in the team, in the family. It also helps the leader be more influential, because if people do not feel safe with the leader or the parent, then they kind of get into this protective mode, and that throws them into this lower 20% of the brain, where they're really not listening to what the leader or the parent says. They're trying to protect themselves by not being too vulnerable or not speaking up or maybe even arguing. It's a kind of a fight or flight response. As leaders, as parents, as people who want to be influential in our life and the lives of others, we want to make sure that we're creating teams and situations and families where people feel safe to be wrong, to come up with a different idea. I remember working with a PR organization in the past. And one of the things they did when they were trying to come up with a new pitch for a product or a speaker is to kind of just bat things around. And the last thing they wanted to do was have somebody come up with an idea and have somebody shoot that down, because that just shuts down creativity. As people being shut down, it now, we know, kind of gets in the way of psychological safety. So they were able to kind of find, the ideas that were totally crazy. They really were going to work, but they were floating them to the point where people feel safe in just trying things. With a team, what you want them to do is to bring their creativity to the project, their ideas to the project. Otherwise, you're just kind of do this, do that, do this, do that, do that. And they'll do it, but they won't really do it with the same kind of fervor they would if they felt involved in the process of coming up with what needs to be done in the first place. A family, as a parent, I'm doing a lot of parenting conferences as of late. And I always tell parents, what is really important is that our kids feel safe with us. Especially kids, because they look to us for a sense of value. One of the things I talk about is kids don't know they're valued and valuable until they're valued. Kids don't know they're lovable until they're loved. Kids don't know they're safe until they experience it from their family and from their parents. And as parents, we get frustrated and we're trying to get things done and get out the door and all the things we're trying to do. And sometimes we get into this mode where psychological safety isn't the first thing we're thinking of. So if you're in a position of in an organization or family where you would like the people within that group to feel safe, to come up with ideas, to be able to use their best thoughts, their creativity to solve problems, you want to make sure you are creating an environment of psychological safety. One of the ways of doing that is asking people, what do you need from me to kind of feel safe in this team, in this situation, in this organization? If they feel safe enough to tell you, then they'll tell you. That's really good information. And it probably has something to do with us stepping back as leaders and or as parents and letting them kind of step forward and try some things and work through some things without us kind of stepping in and correcting all the time. This is what I get to teach with my Life from the Top of the Mind system. It's all about psychological safety. It's all about shifting from that resistant brain or that reactive brain to the psychological safe brain where we can bring out the best in others. Then it's about kind of getting them to kind of shift from that resistant brain to the receptive brain so they truly hear and understand what we're wanting them to know. If you would like me to come to your organization, your family, your church, and kind of give you my best thoughts on how to make this happen, it's what I love to do, just go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, or just Google Bill Crawford. I'll come up on the first page. Hit the contact button. Let me know what you're interested in. Love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, here's to you kind of looking into this concept of psychological safety, making sure that if you're in a position of leadership, either a family or an organization or a team, you're helping create that, because that will give the people that are in the team, in the family, the ability to step forward, bring their best to the situation, and create the best team and family possible. Hope you're finding these videos valuable. If you do, please hit the like button. You know how Google and everybody loves it when you like it. Share it with your friends if you feel it's valuable. And in the meantime, between now and next time, here's to you, bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. I look forward to seeing you in the future.